All right, let's talk some college football with our guy, ESPN's Tom Luginbill. Love having him on the Alexander Shinora Trial Attorneys Hotline. Luginbill with us now on the Shinora Hotline. What is up, Tom? How are you, buddy?
I don't know if I've ever heard somebody in the last 15 years call me Tom.
Yeah, that was kind of weird. When it came out of my mouth, I was like, why did I not call him Luke?
Somebody else?
No, hello,
Brown
Tom.
will go old man on you sometimes, though.
Yeah, I was like, why did I not just call him Luke's? Why did I say Tom? I literally thought it as I said it. It's funny that you...
Can we do this backwards? Can we start entertainment and then get to Nico?
Yeah,
and all
sure.
of it? Well, because I think for the first time, it comes out of nowhere. You're like trying to find it. And the older we get, Luginbill, I'm sure you have these conversations, and you and I will text each other this kind of stuff as well. But, you're sitting around a bar, you're at a party, and you start talking about what are you watching right now? And so that becomes kind of the conversation. And there are times when I'm like, damn, I don't have anything to watch. I'm watching 6 different shows right now.
About the same as me.
I'm watching Mobland. I'm watching The Pit. I'm watching The Studio. I'm watching Friends and Neighbors. I'm watching The Last of Us and Black Mirror. I'm watching all 6 of those right now and absolutely loving it. Are you watching anything really good right now?
So I finished Black Mirror. I thought it was very, very good. I think Your Friends and Neighbors has an opportunity to be maybe one of the best shows that's streamed in a long time.
John Hamm is so good.
It is, if you haven't seen it, and there are only 3 episodes that they've released. I think it's absolutely fantastic. Did you watch The Gardener?
I didn't. I flipped by it on Netflix where the dude's like, is he a serial killer and he plants his bodies in his garden?
Yeesh.
Yes, but there's a premise behind it because he was in an accident as a kid and he suffered head trauma, so he doesn't experience emotions. So love, happiness, sadness, whatever, it doesn't register with him. And then there's
so why does he have a garden
behind? What's that? Because it's the one thing that he's talented at.
Okay.
So it's almost like a little bit of just like you got that unique thing, but then there's a puppet master pulling the strings that's getting him to do this stuff, right? And then it kind of unravels from there. I thought it was really good. They do a nice job of kind of maybe setting it up for a second season. Definitely something worth checking out. But if you really want to watch a great drama, and I think I may have told you guys about this before, Fauda, F-A-U-D-A, on Netflix. Essentially, it's interesting because it's essentially almost true to form to what's been going on in the last year to 2 years, with the Gaza Strip and Israel and a lot of those sorts of things. It's fictional, but they do a really good job and it's gripping. Like it'll keep your attention.
Tyler has seen Sinners in the studio and just put in the chat.
I'm going this week. If I can fit it in, I'm so excited.
Yeah, I was going to go last night, and I hadn't planned on going until Tim Melton and Tyler here both have just raved about it. And then when you look at Rotten Tomatoes, I know you take a look at that. A lot of people don't believe in it, but when you have the critics at 98% and the audience meter at 97%, that seems like a pretty good combination.
Like, I'll tell you right now, when I go to Rotten Tomatoes, those critics can go jump off a short plank, okay? And when I see the critics have something at like 53% and then the audience is at like 72, I'm seeing it.
Yeah.
Right? That's just that is just me. So no, I'm excited for Sinners.
Tyler, you want to tell about Sinners real quick? I mean, don't ruin it, obviously.
How good was it, Tyler? Come on.
It's the best movie I've seen this year, and I've already seen 50-plus movies so far in the theaters. So go see it in the theater. The cinematography is great.
And it's got a twist, right?
There's some twists. I don't want to reveal anything.
Yeah, well, we don't want you to.
Don't watch any trailers or anything. Just go in as blind as possible, and you'll love it. It's got a 1930s gangster movie feel with vampires.
Yeah.
And it's the best soundtrack I've heard this year, so definitely see it in theaters on the biggest possible screen.
Okay.
By the way, I'm loving Mobland, as you mentioned, and I thought the second season of 1923 was better than the first.
Oh, I agree with that. I just finished that last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever it ended, and the only
devastating,
thing,
but wow.
Yeah, well, people got pissed because I was like, I didn't realize that they were only doing 2 seasons, but when I watched the finale, I had to Google to confirm because there was nobody left. And people got pissed off. They're like, you ruined it, you spoiled it. But I didn't say who died. It was just, one of the darkest seasons of TV.
Yeah, and I think they're skipping 2 or 3 decades for the next one.
So 1933.
No, they're doing something in the 40s. Yeah, the
43?
40s.
Okay.
Yeah, or something in the 40s or early 50s, I think.
Yeah. All right. ESPN's Tom Luginbill. Is that it? We get them all out? I'm not rushing it. I just want to make
two that you didn't mention.
Right.
So the Pit. Have you watched the Pit at all?
I have not watched the Pit. Is it good?
Yeah. So like, I never got into the medical dramas, like even the ER and Grey's Anatomy and that kind of stuff. But it's basically 13 episodes, a 13-hour shift in an emergency room in Pittsburgh. I'm 4 episodes in. But it's none of the, banging a nurse in the closet. I mean, it's
all medical. Yeah,
it's all medical.
Oh, so it's gritty.
Oh, yeah. First episode,
Okay.
somebody's losing their foot. I mean, it's getting better and better too. So Dunaway finished the whole thing in like a weekend. You need to check that out.
Boy.
And then the other is the Studio. I think you would like it. The only thing I don't like about the Studio is it gets a little too far-fetched with the comedy. Because it's like Curb Your Enthusiasm, but based on the industry. Seth Rogen is the head of a studio, but it's got a lot of great cameos.
Okay, good. No, I'm looking forward to that, too. That should be a good one. I've got some stuff to add to the list. But Sinners has been a priority ever since I saw the trailer, I think in the theater like a month ago.
Okay. Well, go see it. Tyler says on the biggest possible screen, right, Tyler?
That's right. It was filmed for IMAX. So IMAX is a great place to see it, but if you've also got a Prime theater, like an AMC Prime, I would see it there because the sound design is incredible.
Well, right now, I'm basically an on-call physician for the transfer portal, so I can't go anywhere without holding my phone in my hand and having to do 75 to 100 words every time somebody that's any good goes into it.
Well, if we're going to call it patience, I can't figure out I can't diagnosed Nico. The only thing that made sense is Okay, well, and that's why we got you here. But the only thing that makes sense is he's going back home to California. Maybe he missed the West Coast. But outside of that, the numbers, the skill around him, the ability to win a championship, the money he's making, none of it makes sense.
No, none of it makes sense. But I'll tell you this. This was one you could see coming from a mile away. I go back to the 2023 class when he came out, guys. And I thought, and for the most part, my guys on the staff thought too that he was a top 5 overall talent in terms of physical attributes, physical ability. Okay, we ranked him at 23. All right, well, now what does that say?
Well, you guys were ahead of the curve on trying to figure this guy out,
but we really weren't. It was obvious. It was everywhere. The whole process, every camp, every combine, everywhere you went, it was not positive. They were on to the wrong things. There was never nobody paid attention to, is it the right fit, socially, academically, athletically? Can I be away from home? Is this who I want to play under? Is this the coach that I want coaching me? Can this guy develop me into an NFL type guy? It was never about that. It's been about money the entire time. This was inevitable. It doesn't surprise me that it happened with this particular individual and the camp that he has surrounding him. But the day this happened, I don't know if you guys saw my tweets, but I said, okay, you just gave up all your leverage, and now this thing has hurt you and not helped you because it has popped up red flags and concerns left and right for every team that could potentially be in the market. Meaning, do you want to bring this into your program? So now you have no leverage to make more money. First of all, he didn't play like a $2 million player. Let's just acknowledge that. Okay, so the market is skewed as it is. So now he goes from a situation with good to great players around him to a situation with a bottom third program that's in rebuild mode that lost their starting running back, tight end, receiver. Their best offensive lineman was a walk-on last year at UCLA. He entered the transfer portal. Their best player on defense, Schlesinger, is going into the NFL draft. They're all gone. So now you've put yourself in this position where you don't have the help around you, okay? And yes, you're going to be making less money because you tried to toil with the market, and this is the other side of an open market when it comes to, as we call this now, free agency. I hope, guys, that this turns into a significant deterrent and that kids and their camp and their support structure starts to wise up a little bit. And another thing in regards to that, representation. These guys aren't certified. They're not accredited. You're hearing about 20, 30% coming off the top. The NFL, it's 3% max. It's agreed to. Like, this is ridiculous. So who's advising these kids? And then we wonder why they're making poor decisions.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I've brought it up often. I talked to someone, and now again, they're on the college athletics side, okay? This is an athletics director.
Sure.
But he told me their biggest concern is that these agents aren't NFLPA approved, so they can only make money for 3 years off these guys. So they're trying to get every dollar they could get right now, and of course you're going to sign that. You're a kid that's never had any money, and somebody tells you they get you all the money in the world, you're going to sign that. So all these kids, a lot of these kids are getting bad deals because of that.
Yeah, and they got the wrong people in their corner, and probably in many instances the wrong people in their ear. And again, we go back to the state of the portal as a whole and name, image, and likeness, and you blend the two together, and you've got yourself a very explosive device. And there's a downside to that, because what people don't realize is the amount of the players that have gone into the portal, including walk-ons. Nobody's doing the math, and we're not talking about algebra here, guys. We're talking about addition and subtraction. The vast majority of the people that go into the portal are either going to transfer down or be left without a scholarship. Unless you've been tampered with, unless you're a high-profile guy that has shown that you've been productive at another school, there's value in you, people are going to target that. But if you're not one of those people, you better think long and hard and think twice before you enter the transfer.
So, Nico, last year, when you look at the numbers, and I said this, like Dylan Sampson was really good. Their defense was really good. He didn't go out and win games. But they still won 10 games and got to a college football playoff. You look at the other side, Deshaun Foster, our first image of him, unfortunately struggling on the podium at Big Ten. We were all pulling for him. I thought they did better than expected at 5-7. But realistically, like, what is UCLA going to be next year compared to what Tennessee's going to be?
Yeah, well, I think that, of course, that was one of my biggest concerns was for Nico, the availability on the market of interested teams and what the drop-off was going to be in terms of supporting cast, talent, level of competition, things that can make him better. Because now all this has done is put more pressure on him to play well above and beyond the way he played a year ago for Tennessee. And listen, I'm going to defend Nico here. He was a redshirt freshman, okay? A lot of redshirt freshmen play the exact same way he did. And there are going to be struggles. There are going to be potholes along the way. There are going to be ups and downs. He had 19 touchdowns, 11 of which came against UTEP or Chattanooga. Okay, 9 touchdowns in the SEC, but 4 of those 9 came against Vanderbilt. So the performance and the production was not warranting the dollar bills. Now you're going to go into a situation with the supporting cast being nowhere near what he left in Knoxville. And you're not going to do it all on your own. I thought UCLA did a nice job the last 3 to 4 weeks of the season. They kind of figured it out, and they were a little bit of a problem, and they started heading in the right direction. That's a great momentum shift for them going into the offseason. But these two rosters are entirely different.
ESPN's Tom Luginbill is with us on the Shannara hotline. One move that I very much like, and I want you to tell me how you see the fit and how you see him fitting into the SEC, is Jaydn Ott to Oklahoma. I find Jaydn Ott to be a tremendous running back, and Oklahoma couldn't do much of anything right last year offensively, primarily because of injury in their offensive line. What does Ott look like in Norman?
So before I answer that question, let's all just have a moment of silence for Cal.
Yeah,
who in the span of 72 hours lost 9 players with a minimum of 1 rushing attempt. 9. 5 of them were running backs, including Jaydn Ott. And what's happening is Justin Wilcox, it's a hard job at Cal. They are broke. They have no money. But Justin Wilcox and that staff have interviewed pretty well, or have evaluated well, and they've brought in some good players. So what's happening is other programs that are looking at them are realizing they can get guys to jump into the portal and get them on the cheap because they know Cal can't match, right? So what's Cal supposed to do in this scenario? It's just an ugly, ugly mess. Love Jaydn Ott as a player. He's got to prove he can stay healthy. That's the number one thing. It's the only thing in this scenario, this addition by Oklahoma, that I step back and say, okay, there's only one way this thing doesn't go well is if he can't stay healthy, because he has had a fairly significant history of injury. And if he does stay healthy, he's really good. I think Oklahoma's missed the mark fairly significantly over the last 2 to 3 recruiting classes at the high school level at the running back position. That seems odd to realize when you're at the University of Oklahoma. So this was a big addition. I think this was a really, really big addition. And now can he stay healthy? We'll see. If he can, they've got themselves a primetime player.
Okay, NFL draft this Thursday, and some of these guys, I mean, names that had really good careers from, Curtis Rourke to Quinn Ewers to Will Howard, and obviously the guys at the top, Cam Ward, Shador, Jackson Dart, Jalen Milroe. Give me a guy that you feel like is a no-brainer. He's going to be an 8 to 10-year starter, could possibly win, a lot of games, possibly get to the postseason and have some success. And then who is the guy that's kind of the long shot, but you see a ton of upside?
Okay, so I don't know if there are any no-brainers in this quarterback class. I don't really believe in no-brainers, period, when it comes to subjective evaluation, because there's just too many variables that can pop up and bite you. Now, if you're doing a good job with your research and your evaluation, you're going to be able to identify red flags. You're going to be able to then weigh the risk to decide if this is something you're willing to go into business with. I think Jackson Dart is really, really intriguing as being that guy that has crawled up draft boards. I think they like his acumen, his athleticism. He throws the deep ball really, really well. He's got good anticipation traits, and he's a decisive player. Matt Corral had just about every bit as much success as Jackson Dart, and it hasn't necessarily panned out for him at the National Football League level as he's now a starter or has played it significantly this year in the UFL. But I think Jackson Dart would be the one to answer your first question. The second one, without question, is Tyler Shuck at Louisville. If Tyler Shuck, and I'm his kryptonite because I happen to be on the broadcast for 2 of his season-ending injuries in 2 separate years, so I try to stay away from Tyler. But had he not gotten injured, and let's just say he had been a 4-year starter, all right, consecutively, I think he'd be a first-round draft choice in this draft. Wow. I think they're considerably and deservedly so, because when you have that distinct of a history of injury, people are gonna back off a little bit, and they're gonna be cautious. But this past year, I think, proved that he grew up from a maturity standpoint. I think Jeff Brom did a great job of saying, hey, listen, don't be the hero. If you can get a couple of yards with your legs, avoid a negative play, great, get down, get out of bounds. And he did that finally. And I just think he's got a big arm. He's got the stature. He's smart. He has seen a ton of football. And let's not forget, too, guys, it's not a coincidence that a Jaden Daniels, a Bo Nix, all right, maybe a Tyler Shuck coming up, that those guys succeeded quickly because they played so much football. The 5 and 6 year guy, that's not the same as being a 3-and-out guy. And so, that didn't surprise me. And with Tyler, you could have a situation where he brings some of that same experience and maturity. Now he's just got to prove he can play healthy, but I think he's really, really gifted.
Are you already in drinking mode on Monday AM? You got a natural light hat on, and what does your shirt say?
You see my shirt?
Whiskey, the breakfast of champions.
It's strong.
It's not?
It is. Oh, in some circles it is.
No, I'm not in drinking mode. Like I told you, I'm stuck with this.
Yeah.
It's nuts, man, what this whole thing's turning into and how we're covering it now. I never would have imagined this in a million years, 10 years ago, that this particular part of the landscape now of college athletics would consume so much of our time. It's crazy. It gives us great off-season stuff.
It does. It does. It's confusing, though. I never can remember who's playing where.
Oh, I know it.
He is ESPN's Tom Luginbill at Tom Luginbill on social media. Luke's always fun. Thank you very much for the time.
Oh, wait, one more.
Yeah,
we got a couple of minutes. Can I throw one more in there?
Sure.
Alabama, you heard Ryan Grubb. You probably saw the sound a week ago. Hey, look, if we named a starting quarterback, that guy would be Ty Simpson right now.
Yeah.
Do you think how long is it going to take Russell to see the field, and how close do you think Austin Mack is right now to Ty Simpson?
Well, I think the thing about Ty Simpson that intrigues me is in this day and age, he didn't leave. And he could have left multiple times. And he's hung around and he's stuck it out and he's fighting and he's battling to earn it. It's very reminiscent of Carson Beck when he decided to stick around Georgia and not leave, and then he earned it and had a really successful 2 years there. So I'm pulling for Ty Simpson because I think he's done things the right way. He's probably ahead of the curve over everybody else just because he's been around. He's seen so much, and that gives him the nod. Keelan Russell's a unique guy because given the physical attributes, his acumen and his aptitude is extremely high for a young player. And I think oftentimes when you transition as a quarterback early, you're not overwhelmed physically. You're overwhelmed mentally and emotionally because you're having to do things that in many instances you've never had to do before, and digesting all of that can become very difficult. So I would anticipate that it would take some time for him or for them to feel comfortable. Okay, he's ready to do this, and we can give him the keys to the car and tell him to race it. Austin's a guy that understands the system, has been at the University of Washington, but again, hasn't played. I think the biggest thing is when these guys have an opportunity to get on the field, they have to prove to the coaching staff that they can be trusted with the offense. And that's not always making the big play. It's not always throwing the touchdown. It's avoiding the sack. It's throwing the ball away on 2nd and 3 so that you have a manageable 3rd down instead of, having a loss for 8 yards. Those are the things that young, inexperienced quarterbacks have to prove to the coaching staff, and it's no different at Alabama.
Hi. Yeah, it's a great breakdown on the Alabama quarterback. Kalen DeBoer with us on the show Friday talking about the quarterback as well. You can go back and get that on demand. All right, Luginbill, thank you very much for the time. Always fun talking with you, buddy.
Always, guys. Take care. Have a great week.
All right, man. You too. Enjoy Sinners. Let us know how it turns out.
Will do.
All right, Luke. Tom Luginbill with us on the Shannara Hotline. Alexander Shannara Trial Attorneys.